And we're going to build on what we talked about yesterday with slope and start putting that together into equations of lines. We're going to do about 3 different types of linear equations. I'm going to recommend that you do mainly one of them, but some of you are going to fight me on this. First of all, y equals mx plus b. What's that called?
Slope-intercept.
Slope-intercept. Slope-intercept form. Just for clarification, what's m stand for?
Slope.
What's b stand for?
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept. What about the x and the y? Coordinates. Just leave alone. They belong in that equation. Okay, so that's a linear form. And that's the one I'm guessing you're all used to, yes?
Yeah.
Have you done point slope?
Yes.
Okay. Point slope is what all the cool kids use. So I'm going to try to convince you that point slope is the way to go. Y minus y1. So slope-intercept form requires 2 things, a slope and a y-intercept. Point slope requires 2 things, a point and a slope. So x1, y1 is a point. x1, y1 is a point. And m is the slope. The nice thing about point slope form is it doesn't require only one point. The slope-intercept form, that point that you need has to be the y-intercept. So a lot of times you go through this hassle of having to figure out what the y-intercept is to put it into that form. However, in point slope, you can use any point on the line along with the slope. And then the third one, which we probably won't even do anything with, but you should still be aware of, is ax plus by equals c. You know what that's called?
Standard.
Standard form. It's silly and archaic. But at least I can say I showed you what standard form is. We're going to focus on point slope as much as possible. Occasionally, however, the problems will present themselves a little bit, in that they might be easier to use in slope-intercept form. So for instance, if I ask you what's the equation of a line with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of -3, then obviously it would be easier to use slope-intercept form, but most of the time we're going to focus on numero dos. Okay, this is all review, right?
Yep.
Good. Continuing with the review, what can you tell me about the equation of a horizontal line? Versus a vertical line. Go ahead.
It's like for a horizontal line, it's x equals some number, and for vertical, it's y equals something.
Are you sure?
Or is it opposite?
Are you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm confused.
You're confused.
Yeah.
So what's the equation of a horizontal line?
X equals 5, maybe.
X equals 5, is he right?
That's y equals 5.
It's y equal. You sure?
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure?
Yep.
So maybe I should just teach something that I'm pretty sure is right?
I don't know.
Now you're totally confused, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Which one is it?
The vertical is the y and the horizontal is the x.
So you're saying the equation of a horizontal line would be y equals some number?
Yeah.
Or did you say
The x equals something.
x equals some number?
Yeah.
And the vertical would be y equals some
Yeah.
number.
The equation of the horizontal line would be y equals something, and for all the points, the y will be the same, and then for the vertical, for all the points, the x will be the same.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. We'll go back to pretty sure. Okay. Horizontal line. Y equals some number. That's not a hashtag. That means number. Y equals some number. Well, why would that be the equation of a horizontal line? What would, yes?
Do you want to keep going?
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Alright, guys, for...
I'd much rather have you explain it than me explain it.
Alright. Because for a horizontal line,
Yeah.
y is always the same, and there basically is no x value. Or there is, but it doesn't affect.
Or there's a lot of x values.
Yeah.
How many's a lot?
Infinite.
Infinite number, right? So a horizontal line, which is horizontal, remember, like the horizon, is going to be y equals some number because it represents all points that have that value for y. So if it's y equals 5, that's all the points that have the y value of 5. And there's an infinite number of them, obviously, with different x values. Vertical lines would then be x equals some number. It's the two times when we violate the rule about linear equations having both an x and a y, is when they're horizontal and vertical. So instead of just trying to memorize the fact that horizontal is y and vertical is x, especially like on a quiz where you can't remember which is which, think about it logically and say, well, okay, I've got a horizontal line. A horizontal line represents all the same y values, therefore it would be the y equals some number. Vertical lines would be x equals some number. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of just pure memorization. I'd rather have you understand what we're talking about here. Okay? Any problems? Good. So now we go into examples that almost all follow the same rule, and that is, what is the equation of the line? The equation of the line with, and then I give you a bunch of conditions from that point on. Okay, so the first one, we will do the equation of a line through the point 3, -7, with a slope of -1/5. So you have to decide which form you want to use. I did not stipulate which form of the line you need to give it in. I didn't say you need to use slope-intercept. I didn't say you need to use point-slope, nor did I say you need to use standard form. What you're going to start to realize is that certain problems will lend themselves better to certain forms. What form do you think this would work best with?
Second.
Point-slope, because what information do we have? A point and a slope. The other nice thing about point slope, if you're hesitant to use it, the thing you should understand is it's very easy to convert from point slope to slope intercept. Okay. It's not so easy to go from slope intercept to point slope form. Okay? So, now let's change colors here. What's the answer? Go ahead, Rebecca.
Y plus 7 equals -1/5 times x minus 3.
Well, hold on. Equal to 1/5 times the quantity, what'd you say?
X minus 3.
X minus 3. Well done. Remember, it's y minus y1, so minus a -7 is y plus 7. And that's it, you're done. Okay. And some of you are going to have a hard time with this, especially if you really used a lot of slope-intercept, because you're not going to be able to give up that crutch. You're going to want to go to slope-intercept. Okay, that's fine. You want to go to slope-intercept? Let's turn this into slope-intercept. Y plus 7 equals -1/5 x plus 3/5. Y is equal to -1/5 x, oh boy, minus 32/5. There it is in slope-intercept form, if you like slope-intercept form. But you don't have to do this unless it specifically says slope-intercept, which most of the times I won't do that to you. I'll just ask you for the equation of line and you can stop there. Okay, but you see how easy it is to convert from slope-intercept, sorry, from point slope to slope-intercept. Does everybody see how I did that, by the way?
Yeah.
Distribute the 1/5, add 7 or subtract 7 from both sides. We're good to go. Either one of those answers is correct, especially in a problem where it doesn't stipulate what form. We good?
Yep.
Awesome. Number 2. What's the equation of the line? The equation of the line with an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of 8. Okay, so equations of a line. We need either a point and an intercept. Do we have that?
No.
Sorry, not a point and an intercept. A slope and an intercept. We don't have that. Or a point and a slope. Do we have that?
No.
No. So what do we do? No, we heard from you already. No, we heard from you already. Any ideas? Dad, what do you think?
Use slope-intercept form
Keep going.
by plugging in the x-intercept, which is 3 into b,
Keep going.
and plugging in h into y.
Okay. And then? I'm still missing a slope.
You can find the slope by, no, not like that, like.
No, I'm looking. I wasn't trying to be funny. I'm hearing noise in the hallway. I was just looking to see. I wasn't playing off the find the slope like we'll find the slope. I didn't know that would be pretty funny, but I didn't plan that. There's a girl doing something out in the hallway making all kinds of noise.
Okay, so the slope would be like, for this problem, would be like 8/3,
Why?
because it's rise over run.
I don't get that. Anybody else?
No.
No? What can you tell me about this chunk of information? Joe?
As a point, it would be 3, 0.
Perfect. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Where it crosses the x-axis at 3 would mean that that's the point 3, 0. What does this chunk of information tell us?
0, 8.
0, 8. Now we have 2 points. Now the whole world is opened up for you. First of all, we need to calculate a slope. Okay, so let's do that. The slope would be equal to 8 minus 0 over a minus 0 minus 3. Oh, look, negative 8/3. Okay. Now you make a decision. We have 2 ways to go. Deb wanted to use slope-intercept. You still want to stay there? Or you want to go point-slope? Point-slope, good call. Which point do you want to use?
This one,
0, 3? Or 3, 0, I mean?
yeah,
You sure?
sure.
Good. Y minus 0 is equal to negative 8/3 times the quantity x minus 3. One possible answer. Question?
At that,
Is not a good way to start a question. Start over.
at that point, wouldn't it just be easier to go?
What are the other answers? No. So he used 3, 0 in point slope form. What are my other options? Michael?
Use slope-intercept form.
Slope-intercept form, which would be y equals, I'll get you started, negative 8/3 x. What's the slope? What's the y-intercept?
8.
Plus 8. Third option. By the way, if I took this equation and converted it, I'd get the same value. Third option. Anybody? Bueller? Use the other point. 0, 8. Y minus 8 is equal to negative 8/3 times the quantity x minus 0. And you can see how close those equations are. Here all I have to do is get rid of the 0, move the 8 to the other side, it looks just like this. Here all I have to do is get rid of the 0, distribute the 8/3, it looks just like this. They won't always look the same. You'll see in a couple more examples that I work through. You'll get 2 answers that look completely different but are still representing the same line. Okay? How are we doing so far?
Good.
Any problems? Excellent. Number 3. What's the equation of the line? The equation of the line through, oh, I forgot already. Negative 3, 2. But perpendicular to, I'm too lazy to write it out, so I'm going to use a symbol, perpendicular to y equals negative 4x plus 7. starting the problem for the line that I'm looking for, I do know the point. So not only because I know the point, but because I prefer point slope form over slope intercept form, because that's what all the cool kids use, I need to find the slope. What's the slope of the line, Ashley?
-4.
Of that line, correct. What's the slope of the line that I want?
Oh,
So let me make a note here. The slope of this is -4. Very good. That's in slope-intercept form, so she read it off of that. So what's the slope of the line perpendicular to that line?
1/2.
Beautiful. So the slope of the perpendicular is 1/4. Opposite reciprocal. Flip it over, change the sign. Okay, Ashley, put that together now. What's the equation of our line?
Y minus 2 equals 1/4x plus -3. Wait,
Shh.
minus 3. Oh. X plus 3.
How'd she do? Good. Okay. Because it's x minus a -3, so it becomes +3. Again, you don't like that form? Convert it. Question?
Did you leave the answer like that? or-
That's it. Done. Yeah. Don't do any extra work. Unless the problem says give your answer in slope-intercept form. But that works just fine. Which is where I was going. If you don't like that, if you're still married to slope-intercept form and you can't give it up, you can always convert that. Do I need to go through that conversion again, or are we solid?
We're solid.
You may have to add some fractions, but it's entirely up to you. You want to add fractions, you add fractions. I'm opting out of adding fractions. Let's do one more example. What is the equation of a line? What's the equation line through the point 2, 3 and the point -1, -5? This is going to be fun. Molly, what chunk of information are we missing? Could we find the slope? Talk me through it.
If you, okay, point slope, you do x minus 2.
Wait, no, just the slope.
No, I'm kidding.
I know, you were just,
-5 minus 3 over -1 minus 2.
hold on, I can't write that fast. Okay, equals,
Equals or 8 over 3.
8/3. 8/3 again rears its ugly head. Okay. Now we want the equation. What form you like, Molly? Oh, good answer. Which point would you like to use?
2, 3.
2, 3. Okay, so if I use 2, 3 and that slope, what's the equation of the line?
Y minus 3 equals 8/3 parentheses x minus 2.
Well done. One possible answer. Jack, I see that glimmer in your eye. You like -1, -5 better, don't you?
Yeah.
I knew it. So, seeing as you like -1, -5 better, could you tell me the other equation of that line?
Y plus 5 8/3 x plus 1.
Well done. Which one is more corrector? Neither. It's the same thing. What's our third option? Slope-intercept form. Go ahead, convert that into slope-intercept form. See how you do with fractions, or if you know how to use your calculator. Morgan, what do you got?
I didn't get it.
Emily?
I didn't get it yet.
Grace?
Y equals 8/3 x minus 7/3.
Minus 7/3?
Yeah.
Well done. Good. So again, working with fractions there, distribute the 8/3. 8/3 times 1 is 8/3. Subtract 5 from that. Again, whether you do it on your calculator or you work with fractions, it's entirely up to you. Okay. 3 possible answers for the same problem. How can that happen? It's all the same line. It's just a different way to refer to it. And again, I'm going to emphasize point slope over slope intercept whenever possible. I'm not a fan of slope intercept. And notice none of this had to do with standard form. I don't even know why we bothered talking about standard form anymore. Okay, we good? Questions? Hot diggity. Take out your homework then. Let's take a look at the 2-2 homework first.